I'm a hypocrite. That's what I am. How you doing today?
There's worse things to be.
Yeah. Is there?
I don't know.
I don't know if there
It
is.
could be like a murderer. Murder is worse than hypocrite.
Yeah, technically, I guess. Technically, there are worse things.
Hypocritical murder.
But
like,
I have watched a Manson interview or two, or been like, yeah,
He gets it.
this guy gets it. You know what I mean? Or you read an excerpt from the Unabomber, and you're like, this fucking
There's
guy.
a lot in there.
Did I walk into the studio and then you just put the camera on me and then he said all of that stuff? Is that my first fucking couple minutes in the studio all week?
Like we talk, yeah.
This is what I do.
Fucking Taliban.
This is what I do every day, all day. He's like, we can't use that. You're pro dogfighting? That's out.
There was, with the whole time we were in one, I was like, we can't use any of this shit.
It's not hard to be nice to people that are nice to you. You know what I mean? It's just, the hardest part about I think about marriage and relationships is that they're always there.
Yeah.
So you're there for every time they're in a shitty mood and need to take it out on somebody. And then, and all the things that, like we've talked about before, that are separate.
Mm-hmm.
Like your relationship is this thing, and like your life, over all your problems, you kind of leave behind, and you get lost in this other person that you just love being around. And so you just have fun. And then as your life merges, then your problems are now a part of that, like paying this bill and paying this
Together.
Figuring out where to, like, all those little nitpicky things about. We don't even like ourselves. So as people, so
Yeah.
it just gets hard.
But your son, like growing up, kind of feeling like I'm a bad guy. I got kind of that as a kid, but it wasn't, oh, I'm a bad guy. My thing was, I noticed really quick, is like, oh, I shouldn't expect this just because I'm this way.
Okay, yeah. Well, he sees it as like he literally sees it as.
And it was like a way for me to like understand, I do have privilege as a white middle class, lower middle class, depending on who you ask, male. Like obviously I have, and it's like, I recognize that kind of young. I was like, whoa, I'm pretty lucky. Like,
he realizes it and doesn't. You know what I mean? He lives in a house that's one of the smallest houses of everybody he knows. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was me too. It was like I was the poorest friend.
Yeah,
but I wasn't poor.
And he's not poor. He's just there's like the school he goes to, and the people there's a lot of people with nice cars and nice big houses, and and we just live below our means, or our means are low.
I thought that like the peak, if you had like different shaped ice cubes at your house, I was like, this guy's rich. Like if you had the ones that look like the little hats.
Oh yeah.
I was like, that's the peak of wealth.
I want to tell you where he's at.
Yeah.
We don't have ice cubes at our house.
Huh? You don't have an ice machine?
We do, but it takes up space in the freezer, so you know what I mean. So we don't use it, and it's disconnected. It's never been connected, so we don't use. Yeah, so we just don't use ice at all.
I like experiencing different cultures, like going to my friend's house.
Yeah.
Have different ice.
Serena's mom.
They had the ice machine.
Oh yeah.
That just made, like, it was like under the cabinet. I was like, get out of here.
Ice. They have an separate ice machine under the cabinet.
A big, like under the thing, like it was a whole like fridge thing. It was awesome, dude.
I like put the thing in the thing, or the
Yeah, change it to crushed.
Yeah, but I don't like the space that takes up too as a freezer. You know what I mean? It eats up a lot of space that you need for freezer space. And then
we don't need the freezer. We don't need those things now. We need to have the little screen on there so we can see what's in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
I sound like a boomer right there, but
they do have a cool thing now where you open up like just the door face will open, where you can grab like that kind of stuff, like milk or whatever, without opening the whole fridge. I read many years ago that that's one of the biggest contributors to the negativity on the environment is our own stuff within the house. Like
that's what they want us to think.
Like our appliances and stuff, leaving them open, leaving them running.
That's what they want us to think.
What do you mean? What does that mean?
They're dumping oil in everything. It's not us.
No.
You think because I wanted ice that I'm melting the polar ice caps? No, you're burning fossil fuels, dude. It's not me, it's you. That's a huge thing that they're pushing on all, like.
Well, they're saying they've been saying it for years. Like, as you're right. I'm to the point where I'm like, there's nothing we can really do. But it's that philosophy of it starts with the individuals. All like, if we're not gonna as a group this was 20, 30 years ago. If we're not gonna, as a group, just burn coal, and we're just like, fuck it, we're doing that regardless, or we're burning oil till it's gone. We're using oil in every single thing, including toothpaste, whatever whatever we got to do. But if we're not gonna do that, we should not waste it. We should not just leave our gas burners rolling, or you know what I mean? It should be expensive to use energy, you know what I mean? And some of the things like open and closing the refrigerator, yeah, you're right, that does sound kind of like stupid.
Yeah, it's like we could literally all recycle right now and it wouldn't make a difference because some like 4 dudes are like, hey, let's drill here. And then, you know.
You think it's 4 dudes making that
decision?
Oh,
dude, it's got to, I feel like a lot of it is, I mean, I don't know.
It's all of us. It's all of us as individuals not doing our part, that then to elect those people and to educate ourselves. It used to be that about 80% of people believed the science. And we were starting to make the changes in the 70s and you know, and then when Reagan came around and ripped the solar powers off the fucking White House and was like, screw that, like,
I didn't know that happened.
You didn't know that happened?
Yeah, did Bonzo do it?
It was the very first thing that Reagan did when he got into office.
Go get those solar panels, Bonzo.
Exactly. That's the first thing they did, was to take the solar panels that Jimmy Carter put up there, you know what I mean?
Of course Jimmy Carter put them on there, that sweet old man.
Yes. He
probably built them himself and like nailed his hand to it and kept going though.
Yeah,
like,
you know how many people I know that just hate Jimmy Carter?
Who hates Jimmy Carter?
Let's bring up Jimmy Carter to Jimmy Dore.
Okay, who would hate Jimmy? He just builds houses and he's falling apart.
Well, now he is, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. And then he beat cancer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I have...
asshole.
Yeah, well, we should... but we all really should start getting our Jimmy Carter just died jokes together. You know what I mean? So so when it happens, you got a good run ready.
Yeah, you got one?
No, I don't yet, but, you know, they'll come. But,
he's probably building his own coffin.
That's funny.
That might be something. He's probably building one right now.
Yes, every day is a near-death experience for Jimmy Carter.
And he's like
he's getting closer and closer every day.
He's like picking the wood. He's like, I like this mahogany.
Yes. Anyway, Tim Wilson, the famous comedian Tim Wilson.
Yeah.
If we sat him down, he would go on. He would have an hour's worth of things about Jimmy Carter. He hated. I just loved.
Why? Because he was a big Reagan guy, or the only people I know who hated Carter were just like,
I just think he ruined the country and blah blah blah. Went the wrong way and was wrong about. And I think he was a little embarrassed because he was a Georgia guy and Tim was a Georgia dude. You know what I mean? And Jimmy was the opposite of what he believed. You know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I used to love to just like I have the same attitude. Like, how do you hate Jimmy Carter? Like,
also, I wasn't around then, so it's just like I just know him as this old, sweet old man who builds stuff and
the go-to phrase is Jimmy Carter has been a great man, but a terrible president.
Okay, sure, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
that whole Iran thing didn't go super well with him. I knew that.
It's weird. I don't really think
the whole Iran thing.
Yeah, I really don't blame. How do you?
I wouldn't be
blame him for that.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't know what I would have done then.
That's
the thing too.
I think Dore would say that, or I think that there's a line of this is our foreign policy, this is our economic plan for the world, and the presidents are just they're not really in charge of that.
Yeah.
There's a smaller group of people that we don't know about that are in charge of all those things, and you know, the foreign policy, and that it's us together as a group accepting that. But anyway. Most people believed in this stuff, and that's when the first environmental laws started coming into effect in the 70s and blah, 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 until like we were starting down that path.
Yeah.
And then the oil and gas and those companies started the climate change denial movement, basically. Like, and really have spent billions of dollars on that to help shape public thought. So now, at least even 6-7 years ago, it looks like to me like it's starting to swing the other way now. Like in what I see as far as news coverage and blah, blah, blah is, but it swung to about 60-65% of people no longer believed in the climate science.
Yeah.
Like, because they poured so much money into it that still, I would say 90% of people have no idea how terrible things are about to get.
Yeah.
Or are getting, or you already smile.
You
already smile
no,
like Tom does. Is a kook with his.
No, it's just I saw the doomsday clock thing, and all I gotta say is shut the fuck up.
Why?
Shut up.
Because it's getting closer?
No, because it's always like, it's going to end, it's going to end. It's all the time. I grew up, people telling me it's going to end, end times, Revelation, end times. And then I was like, please stop. And then I got older, and then I'm not around that. And then now it's like, end times. It's like, shut up.
Yes.
It's all the time. Like, I can't get away from it.
Everybody's
like, it's the end of days.
It's right. It's always end of days.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you imagine being alive during the plague?
It's end of days, dude.
Yeah. Or World War II. Like, there's so many other times where it's like, this is probably
the Cuban Missile Crisis?
Yeah, if it didn't end during World War II or, like, the plague or, like, all this other stuff, it'd be like, oh, it's going to end because a couple of fish washed on shore and they're red. Shut up. I hate that. I hate that stuff. Oh, there's a war in Ukraine. There's a war here. There's a war there.
But that stuff is ultimately, like, there's a reason the doomsday clock is like, hey, we're perilously close at all times to fucking ourselves up.
And who are those people?
Yeah, that's who does run the doomsday
I don't know.
clock. I wonder if it's Father Time, if he's related to it at all.
I don't know. Well, he needs to calm down.
I just saw a thing today, how the core of the planet
it's not going to affect us. It's not going to kill us.
Stopped spinning, right?
If you read the rest of it, it does that already.
Oh, okay.
It's independent. It rotates on its own.
Are you sure?
Yes, I read the whole thing.
Sure it's not doomsday? The
I
core
read
stopping.
the whole thing because I knew somebody would be like, who had the core going this way on their doomsday bingo card? Shut up.
I feel like I just walked into it.
Yeah. I knew that people were going to be, who had this on their doomsday card?
So this article, the headline is "End of Times." The core has stopped spinning.
Yeah.
And then that when it tells the story, you're saying
they're just like this normally happens.
But by normally, do they mean like well, that's the same way when people go, well, climate change, that's just what the planet does. It is what the planet does, but the evidence is it's overwhelmingly different now because we're burning fossil fuels.
We have an influence over the climate.
Yes.
That's undeniable. Like, we have an influence. Like, the core, come on. We don't even know what it looks like. We don't even know if it's there.
Right, exactly.
Go look.
So, but the other times that the core has spun, because when people say, "Oh, this has happened before," humans will be fine. To them, they're like, "Okay, well, so what if there's 100 humans? That's still terrible, right?"
Yeah.
So when does that trigger something else, like with the poles flipping and and chaos and blah 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 for 100 years, and then it's like, all right, we're back to Earth. Is that what they're saying is okay?
I just saw where it was like it spins independently, like it's in the mantle. Like the core is its own thing, and then there's the mantle that's kind of like liquid, and it just does its own thing. It might, I don't know, maybe it'll affect magnets. Maybe magnets won't work anymore. I don't know. I don't think so, but the scientists didn't say anything about that. So.
I think we live on and are sustained by like this whole thing is like its own sort of. Almost like a living, breathing organism that we're just on. Really, we're just on an atom.
Yeah, you feel like it's hanging by a thread kind of thing, like anything at a moment's notice could make it.
I didn't used to, no, not really.
Yeah.
No.
I think there's so many things in place that keep it from, like I said, we have the ozone or whatever. It has these things that blow up asteroids. It's just a perfect, it's great. It's Earth.
Yes.
Stop freaking out.
I'm not freaking out, dude.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about everybody. They're just like, oh, you don't even know. Tell me about the atmosphere. How's that work? They don't even know. And they're just like, oh, it's going to end.
It's going to...
What's in the stratosphere? How's this work? How does the satellite work?
I'm like, it's all going to end because it's all interconnected. And you're like, really, Tom? Can you plug that cord in? Oh, no. What do I got to do? How do I do that? Why does this work? Why won't it just beam from there to there like I want it to? Yeah. So we'll ask them. Tucker Carlson, Glenn Beck, Greg Gutfeld, Noam Chomsky. Are these people crazy or are they just horrible people? I like that. It was a good little run we had right there.
Yeah. I just don't think it's going to end the way we think it does. And it was always a preacher who's like, hey, this cloud looks like this. God told me it's going to end.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah. Well, but the science on like how interconnected everything is and how it's like
it's insane.
And this whole 1.5 degrees thing is like that's
there's
huge. Solid science behind this shit, and there's no stopping it.
Yeah.
Especially if we keep leaving our refrigerators open.
Yeah, my Frigidaire is what caused it all.
Yes.
I don't think that was in Revelation.
Did you ever know anybody that died in a refrigerator?
No. Is that a common thing?
That's yes.
I didn't grow up in the 50s, so
No, you grew up in the country though. I mean, that seemed like that's
I didn't grow up in the country. I grew up country adjacent. Let's go with that.
Okay.
I grew up with running water and Wi-Fi and internet. I didn't have Wi-Fi till I was in high school. I had internet my whole life. I was in a suburb. You could go down the street and be on a dirt road, but I didn't live on the dirt road. I didn't raise animals or anything like that. I don't have any political people that are heroes. Like, I liked Bernie a lot, and I liked some of them, but it's like, I don't want my heroes to be a politician. It's so lame.
Yeah.
It's so lame, and like, we don't really have heroes anymore, you know?
That's interesting
It's
you
like
say that. When I go back through my thing of notes, I
Yeah.
met a guy on a ship who that's what he teaches on.
Heroes.
And he asked on his first day, "Who are your heroes? Who's your hero?"
Oh, that's a good one. Who are your heroes?
I don't know. That's an interesting, you know.
Mine are like so
I guess
silly.
they'd be Martin Luther King is a
Yeah.
hero to me. Like,
But like now, like, who's alive now that you would want to be? Like Joe Burrow. I like Joe Burrow. He'd be a good, but like, you know, somebody who's like standing for something. It's hard to find a hero now. I feel like Joe Burrow's cool, but is he gonna save the world? Martin Luther King's a good hero.
I think it's more right now. It's like when I hear somebody like saying some of the ideas. You're right. There's nobody that I'm like,
yeah,
holy shit, this person, you know,
yeah,
makes me want to be a better person.
Mm-hmm.
There are people like that. I just can't name them off the top of my head, you know.
I was thinking of somebody the other day that made me feel good.
Guys like there's some writers like Hedges.
Yeah.
Hedges. You know, there's the guy who was writing on money for so long, Tabarai or whatever, Matt Tab. That guy, like people like that, I think are out there trying to make a difference. But I don't know if they really are.
Yeah.
You know.
Heroes. I'm sure you got a lot of comedy heroes too. But I'm trying to think of people that make you want to be a better Tom.
Eric Trundy.
Yeah? He's shaking his head.
It's fucking true, man.
I like the haircut, by the way.
You don't think that you have the effect of people that you make them want to be better people? Or you show them how they can be?
We were both like, I hope Eric comes in today. We were talking about you.
Yeah. I seriously, he makes me want to, he points out shit to me like that I need to be working on that. I ignore it, of course, and change it around so it sounds better or worse coming out of his mouth than when I tell people. Eric said I'm fucking crazy and I'm not an active member. I'm not a working member of society. You know?
He didn't say that. Some here. I think
people used to call me a political comic.
Huh.
And somehow that annoyed me a little. I'd be like, I am, but I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, to me, a political comic is Bill Maher or Jimmy Dore.
Yeah, but the Bush years were fun for you, comedically.
They were. That was sort of when I was at my peak.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wasn't.
You weren't like always George Bush stuff, but obviously he was so in the news. It was like.
Yeah.
Kind of hard not to.
Yeah, and I'm sort of a. I was listening today to a little NPR to try to get ready for Jimmy. I waited till the drive here to start.
The ever-prepared host.
And they use that term talking about Republicans of the conspiracy theorists. And it's like, I consider myself a conspiracy theorist. And even that term used to bug me because that was a CIA invention.
Yeah.
The term conspiracy theorist was a
discredit.
CIA to discredit, people that
chaos.
ask
You're
questions.
gonna like that chaos book, man.
So I like that's one of the things about Trump that made me be like, because when he's like the media's fucking fake and owned and blah blah blah, and it's like, yeah, he's right, they are liars and fake. You know what I mean? Like there was stuff that he would say that's like, I believe. You know, I questioned the moon landing. I'm fucking weird about the Federal Reserve. I thought 9/11 was probably an inside job. I've always thought the Kennedy assassination could be shown to be
Greedo shot.
You know, us. I remember when during 9/11, the Taliban holding up a book that I was like, that I was telling friends about. And as soon as they did, I was like, oh no.
What was the book?
I'm with them. It was The Economic
Twilight.
Hitman was the name of the book. So it basically described our foreign policy for the last 50 years, which is,
how bad it is.
It's not good.
Yeah.
And the way we overthrowed and beat up democracies.
I feel like you'd probably watch a Taliban video and you'd be like, yeah. And
well,
then they'd zoom out and they'd have the people and you'd be like, oh.
Yeah, that's yes.
That definitely happened to you.
So but I'm not like they're fucking with the voting system.
Yeah.
But then again, when Bush was president back then, in their family, they are a part of those voting systems. And I was like, they're not even giving us paper receipts. This is, of course you're going to be able to hack into them. And then Trump's like, they hacked into them. I'm like, you crazy people, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, so I'm a hypocrite. That's what I am. How you doing today?
There's worse things to be.
Yeah. Is there?
I don't know.
I don't know if there is.
It could be like a murderer. Murder is worse than
hypocrite. Technically. I guess technically there are worse things.
Hypocritical murder.
But I have watched a Manson interview or two, or been like, yeah,
he gets it.
This guy gets it. You know what I mean? Or you read an excerpt from the Unabomber, and you're like, this fucking
There's
guy's...
a lot in there.
Did I walk into the studio and then you just put the camera on me and then he said all of that stuff? Is that my first fucking couple minutes in the studio all week?
Like we talk, yeah.
This is what I do.
Fucking Taliban.
This is what I do every day, all day. He's like, we can't use that. You're pro dogfighting? That's out.
There was with the whole time we were in one, I was like, we can't use any of this shit.
You're pro dogfighting? No, let's go to the moon landing thing. I'm curious about this.
I'm coming back the other way on the moon landing, but I've always. but you know what's set me off on the moon thing? To be honest, was I went to the Natural Science Center in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
And the lunar lander is right there in the place.
Yeah.
Well,
and you walk by it and you're like,
it's a replica though, right? I mean, they couldn't bring that thing back. Like the rover thing? Like the thing they rode around on. Is that what you're talking about?
No, it's the fucking but it was the
car they brought to the moon?
Yeah. The pod.
Well, how did they get back?
They flew in the lunar lander.
That's what he said.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the little Jeep beep beep.
No. They had like the lunar lander, and it looks like a float we made for homecoming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's made out of tinfoil, and I'm like, that went to the moon, like.
Yeah.
And that's crazy. But that didn't totally dissuade me. And then it was like, then there are videos of them that NASA released of like them rigging the pictures so that it looks like they're out in outer space when they're really just in Earth orbit, and they're changing the shot so the window is blocked in a way so it looks like it's the Earth from way away. Like there is footage of them doing stuff like that. So it's like, why would they do that if they're so I've had those questions. Like immediately I was like, how'd they take the picture like of him jumping down out of the thing? Wouldn't they have to have a cameraman out there? Like my cell phone doesn't work from me in my house, but they can beam pictures from the moon back to national television in the 60s. Come on, like that kind of stuff would be like, and that's right. That's why I'm not NASA. But the truth is, NASA lost all that shit, and they didn't know. We don't know how we did it.
Yeah.
So there's.
When was the last time we were on the moon?
Then.
The 80s, right?
Yeah. No, I think it was that, wasn't it?
I think we were in the 80s.
They're going back now. They're supposedly with Artemis. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So and then there's like the whatever belt that's so hot that you shouldn't be able to get through it, or the radiation above. So I watched enough couple of videos that I'd be like, maybe, maybe
December
not.
1972 was the last crewed mission to the moon. It was Apollo 17, taking place between 1972.
And then, guys like Neil Armstrong or Buzz Aldrin being like, yeah, that didn't happen, and that when they're old, they're babbling to people and things, there's all these little things
that make
you go.
Have they said that?
Yeah. I think you could pull up.
Buzz Aldrin will like punch
Buzz
people.
Buzz Aldrin maybe not, but the other Buzz Aldrin, because he's the one that played golf up there, right? Like
I think so.
That's how they figured out there was water on Mars, right? Because when he hit that golf ball, that's where it landed.
Yeah.
Cost him a shot. Anyway.
Sand trap.
Take a stroke for it.
Yeah. They. So he, there's enough stuff up there to make me go, and then I just, am in the mode of we're lied to a lot.
I think the big thing is the thing that amazes me, not so much the technology they had then, but the science that they did, like all the equations and all the numbers. It's just like, that is insane. I think that speaks more to the marvel of it, I think, more so than the technology they had. Because now it's like dog shit compared to stuff now. But
I mean, you put a color photo next to a lot of black and white stuff, that one's going to stand out. So even if the science wasn't fantastic, it was fantastic for the day. And same thing with the landing module, right? Like, it looks like a float you made for homecoming, but it also, back then, that was like real life spaceship.
That made me be like, wow, I would have not, like, that's where the guts were to get on that. But back then, though, you know what I mean? It would be like,
back then, that thing looked like a spaceship. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would, if you'd have saw that in the late 60s, early 70s, you'd be like, holy fucking shit, aliens. You know what I mean? And now, because you see a Tesla every day, that thing doesn't look, it looks like it's put together by particle board.
That's a good point too.
You know what I mean? It's a point of reference.
I feel like I'm okay with like that we went to the moon now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So over time, I've been like, I start to re-question my stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Because somebody from the Taliban holds up the book I'm touting, or you
Taliban
know,
on the moon.
or I'm like, maybe 9/11 was, you know what I mean? But I still like 9/11, like it's like the Kennedy thing. There's something about it that's fucking feels wrong, and then there's enough.
Are you telling me that you think that the United States government has lied to its people? Are you telling me that?
Yes.
Your words, not mine.
Yes. Yes. Almost got my hair cut in similar fashion to that today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Today.
Yes.
Right.
Because my hair's at the point where it's long enough where it's starting to be like, I got to get rid of all this.
Yeah.
And I always end up going with the same, old white guy haircut. You know what I mean?
Different?
Just So
my hair's cut like this because I cut it.
Yeah. That's what happened to me when I did. Remember? I don't know if you remember when after COVID or whatever, when I finally sort of did my hair, I grabbed my razor and put the ear thing and just went, and it was like, what did I do right there?
Your hair grows fast though.
Yeah,
it does.
Yeah.
So you go to like Supercuts
or Sports Clips.
Sports Clips. Sorry, my bad.
Yes. I used to go pay $60 for a haircut, and it's like same thing.
It's really not. You're just getting the wrong $60 haircut, and you're giving bad direction. Which getting haircuts is.
You're right. I do sit down and be like, I don't know. Something that's not this.
Hey, give me the Tom Landry.
Yeah, give me the Tom Landry.
I just haven't had to care or cared. So.
Yeah, they're just so difficult until you find somebody who can cut your hair really well. And then
you found it's you? It's you that does it?
I mean, what I realized is I was paying $60 a haircut, and then during the pandemic, I started cutting my own hair, and it looked exactly the same. So either I was...
Cut to the video of on the earthquake one or the Peyronie's disease of his haircut.
Oh, that's dirty.
I like that hair.
I'll
go back to it.
It is a good look. Yeah. It is a good look.
Oh, it is, but you just fucking...
Yeah, well, compared to this, I'm saying this looks,
This is the same haircut. I'm just wearing it differently.
Okay, all right. Well, I like that haircut. It works good.
Yeah, this fucking guy. I don't know why I fucking come into this fucking place.
Also, $60 haircuts. Where are you guys going?
Not to Sports Clips.
You guys need to go to Marte's.
To like a salon.
I was going to Marte's.
Mm-hmm. What's Marte's?
Marte's is a Puerto Rican barber shop.
Is that why we have to say it Marte's?
Well,
that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah,
okay.
Marte's.
I mean, I guess if you put some mayonnaise on it, it could be Marty's.
Okay,
go to Marty's.
I go to Marty's.
I'm going to go to Marty's and get my hair cut.
Yeah. I mean, you should go in there. They would probably cut your hair really well.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think you just... Getting haircuts is difficult, especially when you don't give any direction because you don't know what you want. You got to find somebody that's like, oh, I like you and I can fix this. But then for some reason, dude, you get to... I've had like 3 barbers that I really fucking really liked. And if I go to them 6 times in a row, that 6th haircut is bad. It's like, for some reason, it just can't stay consistent. We either like each other too much. I went to this one barber and we got to know each other. So then whenever I went in there, he was just fucking talking to me. I'm not there to talk to you. You know what I mean? Text me if you want to
you're the one who got to know him. You know what I mean? That's on you.
I guess so, man. But I mean, I got to know you. I'm still doing my job. You know what I mean? This is do my job, so you should still do
it's
yours.
hard not to do your job.
So you think that they like now they know you, they feel like they don't have to be as meticulous?
No, I don't know. I just maybe they just don't think about it the same way. I'm unsure what it is, but it's always consistently that it feels like.
That's interesting that you got to kind of find a new person.
Yeah.
Because they start to get so comfortable with you, they get a little sloppy.
Yeah.
Maybe they get bored with your hair.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, they see so many people. I don't understand.
You do a good job with your hair. You and James Hodge are both kicking it with your hair lately. You know what I'm saying?
Kicking
You're both doing well.
Kicking it,
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
You should go to Marte's, Tom, and ask for Donovan. He'll hook you up.
Yeah, you should. Go see Donovan.
Is it spelled Marty's?
With an E, yeah.
M-A-R-T-E.
M-A-R-T-E. Okay,
Yeah.
so
it's on Battleground, across from Red Cinema.
Yeah, you get a haircut there and you can go over to walk the sheets. That's what I do.
Yeah, get some of the local
cuisine.
Local cuisine. There's actually have you been to the place next to the sheets? The it's called Scratch.
Scratch.
Yeah, go.
Yes.
You walk over there next time. They got some natural hot chicken.
Yes.
Really delicious. Yeah, that's a good spot for food.
And then there's Max. Max got good mac and cheese.
Oh yeah. Max
Barbecue.
Speed Shop.
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, if you're worried about the mantle core that's shifting and stopping,
I have been worried about the mantle core.
because it is, and that could be the end. Seth's already fact-checked it
Very good.
and
Very
read
good.
the rest of the article. And
I'm
it
gonna
turns
have to
out we're going to be
Google.
fine.
I'm gonna have to Google what the mantle core is, but I'm excited.
It's another thing we don't know. It's not there because it's a flat Earth. That's just the turtle's head.
Right. Gotcha.
You know, we used to believe that, right? That the Earth was just stacked on top of turtles to infinity, on top of a turtle's back. That was a philosophy of how the Earth stayed in space.
Cool. You're not gonna drag me down that fucking wormhole.
Yeah.
Not gonna drag me on that turtle.
So are you at all? Do you have any conspiracy things in your? And do you have any of that in you?
Yeah, sure. I think if you believe everything that's ever been told to you, I think your IQ is probably suffering. So yeah, there's zero I can do about it. So I'm not, what am I going to do? If we landed on the moon, I didn't land on the moon, it doesn't change my mood disorder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect my relationship with my children. So I am, do I wish I knew? I don't know. Maybe it's a fucking Jack Nicholson, I can't handle the truth scenario. I have no feelings one way or the other about all of that stuff. I do the point that keeps coming up to me recently in the last few months is the aliens thing. So
Yeah.
you were crazy if you openly believed in aliens 10 years ago. We'd get a camera crew from A&E to follow you to your house and make fun of you. Put your tinfoil hat on, you fucking idiot. And now
A&E was big 10 years ago. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
No.
What was big 10 years ago?
No, say it again.
A&E. He said 10 years ago, A&E would have been following you to your room.
They were the ones.
They were the ones. They
48
were.
hours.
There was no
all that
TLC.
stuff?
There was no Learning Channel. There was.
Who knows if there was?
How
But
much learning are you doing at the Learning Channel?
almost none. I mean, unless you're learning how to flip a house, I guess. I don't know. But that was an interesting thing.
And now we're like, yeah, there's aliens.
Everybody. Ask anybody. Be like, do you believe there's a likelihood of aliens? You'll be like, yeah. And it's so casually open. It's just the world has changed so much in the last 10, 15, 20, 100 years, and we pay it no mind. You know what I mean? And that is a mark of how much it's changed recently. Do y'all believe in aliens? Hands up. Everybody fucking yes, dude. 10 years ago, you couldn't have done that.
Do you think that this overwhelming sort of information, like you're saying, like now it's like, we're like, hey, we're not paying like, oh, there's an alien ship. And we're like, whatever. You know what I mean? Do you think there's so much information now that it's to the point where there is now coming back to like, I'm trying to find a positive. Like,
We're so used
we're
to
so like get rid of the
events.
noise out here, right? So that's sort of the like we've been talking about different religions and spirituality a little bit this week, but like if it's all really in here, the whole connection is in here. If now you're ignoring all these things, all these different voices that are coming from every direction, and you can shut it out, you've created your own space then, right? Your own little Walden where you don't have to ignore everything. You don't have to go out of your way to ignore everything. You just do because there's so much shit.
I mean, what are your options? You know,
well, you can inform yourself of your. You know, you could dive in and inform yourself of all the different opinions and ideas.
How's that working out?
It's not.
Yeah, and so you know that's the difference, right? So you're a person who I feel like you've stepped back a little bit, but you used to consume every piece of information that's given to you
the show
anything.
I was writing on, was part of what I had to do.
Yeah, and
it was about being on the news, and I was really like, I'm going to outright topically.
Yeah,
that was my thing. You know what I mean?
And so I just don't see how intaking all of that information benefits me. I feel like I'm an intelligent person. I know the things I need to know, but knowing if we land on the moon doesn't affect me one way or the other. So, and then with politics and all of that stuff here, it's just, man, it's so overwhelming. I know I have no effect on it. What I do have an effect on is the people in my immediate circle. And so it's when we talk about
is it apathy? Have you reached the point of apathy with it? Or
define apathy so we can talk about it.
That's like whatever. It's whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I have no effect on the world. I don't care. You know.
That's the actual definition in Webster's, by the way.
I don't know. Yeah, that's probably. But that's
Webster was having a bad day.
That's how I'm using it.
He was feeling apathetic.
Yeah. That's funny, dude. I should put my headphones on so I can hear what you say. Because you say stuff. I know I miss like 10 good lines a day that you mumble over there that I miss. Especially now that I can't see you because of the video, the monitor is blocking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean it like that. Like, but there's apathy is also like. There's not a part of you that's like you could make a difference in the world, like you have a voice that. Like to me, Jimmy has a voice now, right? Because he questions both sides. That makes it so that he's a credible voice that people could look to a little bit to be like, this guy is going to save me the trouble of fucking reading everybody's points of view.
Sure.
The good thing about having like a Jimmy Dore is you don't have to be Jimmy. You don't have to do all that. Of course, then you're putting your trust in that guy.
Yeah.
You know?
And so, you know, if I need to know something, I trust myself to find the answers. I have a track record of being able to track down the information that I find interesting or useful or whatever it is. But how many of those people do we need? And do we all need to be that person? And you know, some of us are hunters, some of us are gatherers.
Right.
So there are, you know, information hunters, and there are emotional gatherers, and maybe I'm that thing. I am much more concerned with the 20 people in my life than I am with the government.
I think that's
how our brains are supposed to be.
I think that's fine. That's a good plan.
For me, it has to be. I have no choice. The times in my life where I've been overly informed or overly active in politics, and I grew up in a political household, man. A bunch of the people I in my family ran for office or worked for politicians, and I was around them. I would stand out. I would be at polling places as a fucking 8-year-old holding a sign out there. You know what I mean? Like Steve Sherrick for fucking mayor. You know what I'm saying? Like I went to political fundraising.
I have a feeling that's the real guy that you have.
That's his fucking name. You know what I mean? City council.
Did he win?
He won city council. I don't.
Is that because you breakdanced?
I did break. How the fuck do you know that?
Because I remember you told me.
Wow, dude.
I was there.
Yeah.
Cut to the video footage.
But I grew up around that stuff, and I just saw all of those people so overly concerned with what a president, a governor, a mayor, or whatever was doing. Meanwhile, their family was in shambles. And to me, what good does it do for me to worry about what's going on 1,000 miles away if what's happening within 5 miles of me is trash?
Right.
And so when we get into very heavy conversations about society or politics or whatever it is, And so if we're going to talk about trans rights, talk to one of my trans friends. We're going to talk about racial inequality, talk to one of my black friends. My opinions are those opinions. You know what I mean? My opinions are, they get my vote.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like that is a place where you and I, for me, I can feel it inside of me. There's a little bit of me that like butts up against that. Like, like you, I don't know. I feel like you're allowed to have opinions on it, and that is your opinion. That your opinion doesn't. You're not going to have a way to put enough thought into that.
No, that's not my opinion.
But my
opinion is, who does it actually affect? I know if we're talking about trans
affects
stuff,
all of us.
It affects Annie way more than it affects all of us. It affects her way more than it could ever affect me. I couldn't fathom how it affects her. You know what I mean? My thoughts on it are my thoughts on it. Her life is her life. If we're talking about whatever the subject is we're talking about, I have a friend who is affected by it, and so.
But I
could read the studies on it. I could listen to fucking Jimmy Dore, Tucker Carlson, Tom Simmons. Who is it directly affecting? It's affecting us because we live, but it is affecting them because they live inside of it.
Right.
And to me, that voice deserves amplification. And so my job is to not amplify my fucking voice, which is already.
Okay, well, that person's not around, and I'm over here talking dumb shit about it, and you're like, wait a minute, I know
Why would I do that with you?
Well, I mean, whatever.
I walk out of the room.
Maybe I'm not framing this correctly. Okay. But what I'm saying is you by having those conversations with those people, by being raised with sisters of different skin colors or whatever, you have an opinion on it that is more looked into than probably my opinion on it or Joe Blow's opinion on it. So when Joe Blow is talking about it, I'm not saying you have an obligation, but you, in a way, you're that bridge voice between Annie and them. So you can have an opinion that's like, hey, I've talked to some people about this, the people that I care about.
How often am I going to talk to Joe Blow and change his opinion? Why? And then why would I use all of my energy to roll those dice on a 1 in 100 shot of affecting that opinion that is misguided, misdirected, or uninformed? When I didn't even know the fucking kid came in. Why would I waste my energy or expend my energy
informing somebody?
They're not gonna. If somebody's gonna listen, then we can talk. If somebody's not gonna listen, and chances are, if you're shaking your fists at the kids on the lawn because they're wearing dresses, I'm not gonna change your fucking opinion. You have that thought because you have that thought.
Okay, I just don't think. I feel like you're one of those people along the way that then plants the seed to be like,
sure,
hey, I should maybe think this through differently. Like
you're
sitting there with a guy and they're like, look at that. They're letting women play the game and blah, blah, whatever it is. They're women and now they're men and they're going to play with the women because they want to be, they're making fun of that. And you're like, well, wait a minute. They should have equality.
I say, what do the women say?
Huh?
What do the women say? That's
they're not around. So you got to
go find them and ask them. It's not my It's not my responsibility.
I just feel like
it's not my responsibility to inform everybody. And also, if I'm going to plant that seed over there, I've also got to tend to my fucking garden, right?
Yeah.
And so I spent so much time. Goes back to my family, man. They grew up when I was growing up. They were so concerned with these big fucking geopolitical issues and all of this shit, and their family was in shambles. None of them even talk anymore. It's horrible communication, and so I'm more concerned with what I'm doing and what I can actually affect. And so if it's somebody in my life, I'll have those conversations with. But if it's fucking Joe Blow, I really don't give a fuck.
I feel like comedy wise, we have maybe not an obligation, but I feel like there's something to planting that seed in somebody that they may not agree with you, but when they leave, now they have that seed because you've had that conversation with Annie, and now you've done a joke that sort of makes fun of or says a story in a way that helps point out how they do feel, and now that seed is planted in me as an audience member. And now the next time I'm in that interaction, I think a little bit differently, or you made me laugh at a point of view that's kind of shitty that I have, or you know, and then that is in there now, and it's starting to make that change. I think that that's one of the things I love about comedy is I feel like it does that.
Me too.
And so, and I feel like that is the same thing that happens in everyday conversation. So to say, I get it. You don't want. I understand that. Like you don't want to spout whatever your opinions are on feminism.
I don't have the energy.
Right. So yeah, but you also have not an obligation or whatever, but you have the ability to affect change within,
and I use that ability.
Within me in a conversation, right?
Yeah, and I have.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, you have.
And so. If I don't do it on stage blatantly, I can do it on stage by being accepting, right?
Right.
And so I don't go on stage and be like, these fucking bitches be shopping. You know, I'm not that guy. And I think everyone who looks at me knows I'm not that guy because through context, right? And maybe my walk to walk on stage isn't about human rights or any of that. But I've taken my swings at changing people's opinions on things. I've talked about sexual abuse and all of that incredibly openly.
Yeah.
I've talked about mental illness incredibly openly. So if I'm not up there talking about fucking trickle down economics, I apologize. But I am talking about all this other important stuff. And there are people who.
Well, who are you to talk to me about mental health? I know a crazy dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna listen to his opinion on it.
Well, guess what? If you know a crazy dude, now you know too.
Okay.